Hi there. Today we are going to discuss slope. Objectives. Today we're going to find the slope of a line, and then we're going to interpret what the slope of a line actually represents. Today's standards, we're going to recognize and represent proportional relationships between quantities. We're going to identify the constant of proportionality or unit rate in tables, graphs, equations, diagrams, and verbal descriptions of proportional relationships. The vocabulary you need to know today is slope. Slope. Slope is a rate of change between any 2 points on a line. The slope is also a ratio of change in y over change in x. The change in y is also known as a vertical change, meaning up and down, and the change in x is also known as a horizontal change, which is left and right. In a linear relationship, the vertical change, or the change in y value, per unit of the horizontal change in x value, is always the same. So that means it's always going to be equal. This ratio is called the slope of a function. The constant rate of change, or unit rate, is the same thing as slope. So these three words basically mean the same thing. It's basically, how is this line changing? The slope tells how steep the line is. The vertical change is sometimes called the rise, while the horizontal change is called the run. You can say that the slope is rise over run. I prefer to say change in y over change in x, but they use these words to just kind of simplify it down. Okay, so how to find the slope. Step 1, choose the 2 points. Now, if there's like a statement given or a table given, you may need to graph the points if it's not provided for you. Step 2, you're going to set up the ratio of the change in y over the change in x. And then your last step is you're going to simplify. Example 1. The table below shows the relationship between the number of seconds, y, it takes to hear thunder after a lightning strike, and the miles, x, you are from the lightning. You're going to graph the data and find the slope. Explain what the slope represents. Okay, so this is like a 3-part question. You're going to have to graph, you're going to have to find the slope, and then you're going to have to tell what it represents. All right, our first thing is to decide what is my 2 variables. So we have number of seconds, and then we have miles. Okay, so that's on our table here. Like I said, normally the first one in the table is your x and the second one is your y. Okay, so I'm going to take these points and I'm going to make a graph. All right, the first thing we do. And then when you're trying to find the slope, you should choose 2 points. I personally chose 3:15 and 5:25 as my 2 points where I'm going to find the slope. You can choose any other point that you want. I just decided to choose these 2 for our example. So now we have these 2 points, and we're going to set up our ratio of our slope as the change in y over the change in x. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to start substituting. So we know that our y values are the second ones. So that's 15 and 25. So how does that change? Well, 25 minus 15. And then our x values are our first one, 5 and 3. So 5 minus 3. Now we can simplify this. So 25 minus 5 was 10, 5 minus 3 was 2. So for 10 seconds, it changed 2 miles. Now we're going to simplify it as 5 over 1. So this is my slope, 5 over 1. Our last step was to tell what the slope actually meant. So this meant that for every 5 seconds between the lightning flash and the sound of thunder, there's 1 mile between you and the lightning strike. My next example is Reynaldo. He opens a savings account. Each week he deposits $300. Draw a graph of the account balance versus time. Find the numerical value of the slope and interpret it in words. Okay, so now we have to draw a graph. We have to find the slope, and now we have to tell what it means. The first thing I'm going to do, though, before I have a graph, is I like to set up a table. So the keywords that we have here is each week he deposits $300. All right, so in my table, I wrote the number of weeks and the amount of money. So the number of weeks, I just started simple 0, 1, 2, 3, and all I have to do is multiply 300 times the number of weeks because it's $300 for each week. So now we have 1 week is 300, 2 weeks is 600, 3 weeks is 900. So I'm going to graph that data. Now I'm going to choose 2 points. The 2 points I chose was 1 comma 300 and 3 comma 900. So what do these points actually mean? This means that at 1 week he had $300, and 3 comma 900 is at 3 weeks he has $900. So now that I have my 2 points, I can set up my ratio, change in Y, which is my money, over the change in X, which is my weeks. So I'm going to subtract my two Y values, which was 900 and 300. Then I'm going to subtract my two X values, which was 3 and 1. Now I'm going to simplify this down to 300 over 1. So what does this mean? This means that the slope of the line is the rate at which the account balance rises. And that's $300 for every 1 week. Today we found the slope using 2 points on a graph. I hope that video was helpful. Thank you. Bye.